Hi, I'm Catherine. Welcome to my video podcast where I share my making adventures in a variety of crafty things. Today I have knitting, sewing, and crocheting to share with you. I live in the rural Midwest with my husband and our 3 young daughters. Today is July 26th, 2026, and I am filming in the evening, so we'll see. Hopefully the light's good enough. It's still light outside, but it's going to be getting dark. We will jump right in. I'm not wearing anything that I made today, but I do have a couple finished objects to share with you. And the first is the dress that I knit for my 4-year-old. So I believe I was working on the skirt last time. I did end up adding 2, like the rainbow repeat plus 2 other colors, and then doing the ribbing in the white, the main color. And I did not size down my needles for the bottom ribbing here. To start this, I knit the bodice following the Flax Worsted pattern. I think I measured the gauge while my daughter had it on, so I don't know how accurate it is. If you notice the hot chocolate striped down the front of it, yes, she has worn this twice already. And in between wears, we washed and dried it. So it does kind of seem to stretch out when she wears it, but it did fine in the wash, so that was nice. I didn't measure the gauge after washing it, so I wonder if that changed. But I was getting 14 stitches per 4 inches, which is greater than a worsted gauge. So I knit one of the smaller sizes, and instead of making it long sleeves, I made it short sleeves, and I stopped the bodice earlier than recommended, and then bound off, picked up stitches, increased, and knit the skirt. So I didn't follow a dress pattern, but I did follow the raglan pattern for the Flax Worsted sweater. I did 4 rows of the main color and 6 rows for each stripe. And I'll tell you my yarn usage. I used 100 grams of the white, like almost exactly. I think I did, I'm trying to remember if I needed, I think I ended up not doing the ribbing as long as I had initially thought I would, to not need to break into a 3rd ball of the drop spell. All of this yarn is drop spell. The red color, I used 25 grams. Also, the orange color I used 25 grams because that was in 2 stripes at the top and then 2 stripes in the skirt. The yellow color, which is on the sleeves on the first stripe, and then 1 stripe in the skirt, used 18 grams. The green, which is on the sleeves individually, the bodice and the skirt, used 20 grams, and the blue and the purple used 15 and 16 grams. So I actually have quite a bit of yarn left. I used half the white I bought and half the red and half the orange, but the other 4 colors, I have more than half of a ball left. My 6-year-old wants me to knit her something similar, maybe even a tank top. It doesn't have to be a full dress, but I couldn't find a good tank top pattern for such a large gauge as I got here. And I knit this on US 4 3.5 millimeter needles, and I don't think I'd want to size down to a smaller needle with the drop spell yarn. So what I need to do is probably recheck the gauge after washing and drying it and seeing if I can fit the gauge for a tank top pattern. I don't feel confident in winging that, making it up, although I probably could. I just don't want to have to. If you have like worsted weight child tank top pattern that you would recommend, please share that with me. The biggest problem we have is when the armholes are too deep. So that's something to think about if you're recommending a pattern to me. She does tend to struggle with that sometimes with shirts. Right, so that is finished. My daughter's worn it twice already. She loves it. We've washed and dried it, and it turned out okay. The red did bleed a little bit the first time we washed it, or even like when I initially blocked it, but it looks like it kind of washed out the second time we washed it. Like it didn't stick on the white. It even had kind of bled into the collar at one point, but it doesn't really look like that stuck. So there have been some bleeding when I blocked it myself, but through the washer and dryer, it must have come out the second time. So that is the dress. My next finished object is a crocheted cat. I'm back to making these. I'm gonna try to have 3 ready by mid-August when school starts again around here for my friend who's a teacher, and she likes to have a few to give away to her students. So this one is finished. It's purple. I made a bunch of these already this year, so I'm not gonna talk a lot about them. It is a free pattern by Nekoyama, maybe? I'll have it. It's linked through my Ravelry page. And I've cast on a second. I'm actually definitely more than halfway. I have the head and the body done. I understuffed the head on this one. I was worried about overstuffing it, so I guess I understuffed it, but I think it'll be okay. I can squeeze it and it doesn't like pop back out very well. And I have one arm and the tail already crocheted, and so I just have 3 more appendages to make and attach. And attaching the arms and the legs and the tail don't take very long. The face takes the longest. I actually, this time, I knit the head as the increase is called for, and then I attached the ears. I crocheted the head and I attached the ears before it got too long, and that was a lot easier of a time to attach the ears. And so I think the next one I'll do the face and the ears first, so that I can kind of finish the head as I go. And I also attached the neck and the head differently than I've done before, so I think it's cute. I think that's gonna work and be easier for me. So anyway, I'm excited about that. I have this one and one more to make for my friend, and then probably 2 more for my daughters, because my baby has one. My 6-year-old has asked for one that looks like Pete the cat, and I can't imagine that my 4-year-old is gonna be okay with each of her sisters having one and not having one for herself. So each of these is taking less than 50 grams of yarn. So I have a lot of yarn that I could use to make more. That is not a concerning factor. I'm stuffing them with beans and polyfill and dried beans. I recently went on a trip with my husband, and I thought I was gonna crochet like this whole cat while we were gone. I brought everything I thought I would need, and I left my crochet hook at home. So I brought like this whole bag, but not the crochet hook. So I'm not quite as far on those as I had hoped to be, but I still feel like I'm making good progress. I could finish this one. If I wasn't filming, I would finish it tonight, but I can finish it for sure this week and then make another one next week, and I'll be feeling good about that. All right, I also sewed a sweatshirt. Let me see if I can find the designer's name on one of the pattern pieces. It is the Bobbin Hood crew neck. The only name I see on here is Bobbin Hood. I don't know if that's the designer's name or not. And it is a child's sweatshirt pattern that I got. It was free, a free download. And I have made one in the largest size in the pattern, which is an 8 to 10. 9 to 10. The weird thing, 9 to 10 it says. The pattern does not come with the seam allowance already laid out for you. So I am knitting this for somebody who's turning 10. And so, did I say I'm knitting this? I am sewing this for someone whose birthday party we're going to this week who's turning 10. So I added the seam allowance and I added like double seam allowance to try to make it just long enough. And I think I did it right. This looks to me like it will fit the girl that I'm giving it to. Her mother gave me a bunch of fabric from, it's like the mom's grandma's fabric. And this is that fabric. And so I thought it would be kind of fun to knit or to sew something with it for the girl whose family the fabric came from. I have cut fabric for a second in this color. That will be short sleeved if I can figure that out right. I have enough extra fabric that if the short sleeve looks funky, I can cut long sleeves again. Now, input needed. So this is like thicker than your average t-shirt, but thinner than your average sweatshirt material. Here is what the cuffs look like. If I'm making it short sleeve, should I just hem up the sleeve? Should I add a shorter cuff? Like more similar to the neckband? Or should I just fold it up and hem it? Any input on the sleeve cuff is advised. My machine is not super good at sewing this like stretchy fabric, so that's why it's all kind of like warbly. Like all my seams are a little, I'm hoping that if I wash it, that will sort of squish out. I've already washed and dried the fabric before sewing with it, so I'm gonna wash and dry the finished object before I gift it. I had considered trying to embroider on it. That felt kind of stressful to me. The birthday party's Tuesday night. I have to work this week, so it's already Sunday evening right now. So I don't think that I have the time to embroider on it. I also have VBS day on Saturday that I'm planning, that I'm like organizing, and so there will be a lot of things throughout the week that I need to give attention to for that as well. So I think I'll just sew the second one and that will be good enough, and hopefully it'll be okay that I'm not embroidering anything super cute on those. So yeah, that's two, the cats and the sweatshirt, two like finished objects slash work in progress, because I'm still working on that. I'm not sure that you'll ever see the second sweatshirt finished. Maybe I'll take a picture for the next time, but I will probably forget by the next time I film. My most in progress, like the knitting whip that's getting the most attention, is my Sophorine by Audrey Borrego. I'm almost done. I think last time I showed this, I was working the same part. It's not gonna look much different. But I have been knitting the body, and I've got a good chunk of this brown Pearls and Pines yarn into the body, and I'm about to start the ribbing. So I think I'm gonna knit one more round and then do the ribbing and then see where that brings me. I'm going to start the ribbing with this ball of the Borrego sock, which is the main color. This is all I have left, and it wasn't enough for a 10-row stripe like I had been doing in the body. So I just set it aside and I just started working with the brown. But I'm going to knit one round plain and then start the ribbing in this, and when I run out, I'm going to immediately transition back to the brown, even if it's in the middle of the row. I'm going to use this all the way up, is my current plan. unless it lasts like way more rows than I expected. But I think that this is gonna be like 2, maybe 3 rounds. I have this much of the brown that then I would like finish around with before I can pick back up this yarn. So hopefully I won't have to cut this yarn that's left in here, which is close to 15 grams. And then I'll just knit until I don't have enough yarn to knit another round. The bind off on the neck and arms, I just did a knit bind off, like knit, knit, slip over, knit, knit, slip over. That's what I'll do on the bottom ribbing. I'm not going to change my needle size down for the bottom ribbing. I'm using a US 3 and I only changed to a 2.5 for the ribbing here, but I'm not going to change my needles at all for the bottom ribbing. I still think I'll do a twisted rib just because that's what the pattern calls for. And then we'll see. I tried it on where the progress keeper is, and I thought it would be nice if I could have more length. So hopefully I've added about 1 inch. Hopefully that will be enough. I don't really have a lot of choices right now since I'm running out of yarn. So we're just going to make do with what we have and hope that it works. Took this on a trip with my husband where we went camping and it smells like campfire. Every time I open the bag, it smells like campfire. And that's really wonderful. I wonder how long it will take that to wear off, because right now I'm just thinking of the relaxing time we had. Our kids stayed with my in-laws, and so like my brother and sister-in-law, and it was just me and him camping, sitting by the fire, not having to worry about whether or not a child was going to burn themselves is really nice. The other thing that I'm thinking about knitting on, but have not yet knit on, is my Christmas in July project. I better get started because July is almost over, which is my third daughter's Christmas stocking. This is one of my 12 cast on projects. I have done the following. Watch the video I made during 12 cast ons so I know what size needles to put on. Ordered and received 200 grams of yarn to help me finish this stocking and possibly one for me and my husband before Christmas. So that is what I've done. I'm just really debating the green here. So that is one of the holdups. I think I want the main color to be more red/pink. And I don't know how that's going to mesh with the green that I have going. So I'm trying to decide if I just want to rip back or if I want to keep going with green. That is the current dilemma. Also, since it's been so long since I've done the stockings, I feel like there's a lot to think about to make it similar to her sister's, and all of last year's stockings are in the basement. So I should probably ask my husband to pull out one for me to use to help me along with the stocking process. But this is going to get worked on before I can film again. I did last weekend go to like a maker's meetup, which was specifically for Christian moms, and I had a really good time. I brought those zipper pouches. I think I showed them in my last video. And I got some soap, I got some tallow, like whipped tallow, I think is like a lotion, and some sunscreen, some crocheted Christmas ornaments, some home canned salsa, pancake mix, a pot holder, and some flower seeds. So that was really fun. There were women of all ages, and we sat around and we just visited with each other for like 2.5 hours. It was wonderful. one of the other moms there was wearing a dress she had sewed, and I was wearing a dress I had sewed, so that was really fun. And we talked a lot about sewing, especially like in our rural area where there aren't a lot of resources or even places where you can go and pick out your own fabric. So she knew of a place I drove half an hour to go to the meetup. The place she knew of to buy fabric is like another 20-30 minutes from there. And she said they usually have like 4 bolts of 100% cotton or linen fabric. The rest of it is like some cotton, some polyester. So I told her I'd been getting most of my fabric like at thrift stores or at the library or just at Hobby Lobby. So yeah, we even talked about like offering a sewing class. What would be the logistics of that would be required? How could someone obtain enough sewing machines to teach a sewing class and things like that? So that was really good. And then I talked with some other moms about homeschooling, and one of my former students was the one hosting it. So that was really, really fun. And I went with another woman from my church. So all of that made for just like a great morning. Okay. I am still reading the Unselected Journals of Emma M. Lyon, and I'm on the 7th book, and I have the 8th book checked out on Libby. So that means I have less than 2 weeks now to finish the 7th and read the 8th book. And I think I can do it. When we were on vacation, my husband and I started reading this book. See my Target receipt. By Patricia Wentworth, called Through the Wall. And I'm like a third of the way through it. I'm enjoying it, but it can pause while I listen to Emma M. Lyon. Yeah. I think that's all I have to share. Was that really fast? I don't know. But I think that that's all I have to share today. I have a feeling that life is just gonna keep being busy for us. So I am helping teach with our homeschool co-op this year. And so I spent like a whole day training for that, and then a lot of time the week after doing some prep, and I have more prep to do, but we don't start till September. But once we start, it'll be a lot. So I'd like to get as prepped as I can beforehand. Yeah. And I have a lot of things I want to sew. I still want to use some of that fabric I got at the library swap. Although I'm really glad to be using this fabric because I think I've had it for over a year. I did, when my friend initially gave me the fabric, I've used it twice, but I still have a large amount of it. And it's different fabric than I usually sew with. So, stuff to figure out. I think that's all. Thank you for joining me today. God bless.